aberto com o I3E, com APCs cobertos pela CAPES. Este é um tema que dialoga diretamente com os desafios contemporâneos da ciência, ampliar o acesso ao conhecimento, garantir a visibilidade das pesquisas e fortalecer o impacto científico e social das nossas produções. Nossa agenda está dividida em 3 momentos, pode passar o próximo slide. Então, a gente vai ter uma breve apresentação institucional, a gente vai para o nosso momento principal, o Roadshow, e, por fim, os agradecimentos. Então, so our schedule today will be divided into 3 parts: presentation, roadshow, and acknowledgements. Well, quando essa proposta chegou à direção do Centro de Tecnologia, prontamente acolhemos a oportunidade, em parceria com o IELTPEG, por entendermos o seu grande potencial de impacto para a nossa comunidade acadêmica. O Centro de Tecnologia e Geociências da UFPE possui mais de 130 anos de história, tendo formado gerações de engenheiros e profissionais que atuam em diversas áreas estratégicas para o desenvolvimento do nosso país. Atualmente, somos um centro composto por 18 cursos e 12 departamentos, cada um com forte atuação em ensino, pesquisa e extensão. Essa diversidade de áreas torna o CTG, o UFPE, um ecossistema extremamente promissor, que se fortalece ainda mais quando dialoga com outros centros e outras instituições. Nesse contexto, o tema deste encontro se apresenta como especialmente estratégico e necessário para nós. Temos buscado de forma contínua ampliar o engajamento e a interação com instituições de referência, como o I3E, a CAPES, entre outros. Então, essa reconhecida pela excelência em suas áreas de atuação. O CTG possui uma forte inserção em revistas e conferências de I3E e segue o comprometimento em ampliar cada vez mais a qualidade e visibilidade e alcance internacional das suas produções científicas. Além disso, estamos vivenciando um momento importante de fortalecimento da comunidade do I3E, aqui na região 9, que corresponde à América Latina. Hoje, contamos com um ramo estudantil ativo, aqui na UFPE, com 2 chapters, e já alcançamos a formação de um grupo de afinidade, o que evidencia o crescimento e a consolidação dessa rede dentro da nossa instituição. Diante desse cenário, este evento se torna ainda mais oportuno, pois promove a conexão entre produção científica, internacionalização e fortalecimento institucional, pilares fundamentais para o desenvolvimento do nosso centro. Well said. When the proposal received the CTG Center, we quickly accepted the opportunity in partnership with IELTPEG because of the strong impact. CTG UFPE has more than 103 years of history. Today, we have 18 programs and 12 departments with strong work in teacher research and extension. This diversity makes our ecosystem strong, especially when the building partnership with institutions like IEEE and CAPES. We have a strong presence in IEEE publication and continue to grow our international research. We are also strengthening the IEEE community in Region 9 with an activity student branch, chapters, and affinity group being created. For this region, this event is very important as it connects science production, internationalization, and institutional growth. Thank you very much also again for availability and presence. Then, this moment eu convido a professora, vice-diretora do IELTPEG para falar um pouco desse ambiente onde nós estamos, esse espaço de tanta conexão, de tanta interação. Então, professora Daiane, muito obrigada mais uma vez pela parceria, pelo apoio.
Bom dia a todos, sejam todos bem-vindos ao Instituto de Pesquisa em Petróleo e Energia. o LITPEG, como nós conhecemos. Seja bem-vindo ao COM, Esther e demais. É um prazer abrigar vocês aqui, né, abrigar também este evento. O Instituto de Petróleo e Energia é líder, né, em tecnologia avançada e tecnologia aplicada à área de petróleo, reservatórios e a transição energética. Nós iremos passar um vídeo que vai falar um pouco, rápido, eu garanto a vocês que não vai cansar. Então, a gente vai passar um vídeo que vai falar um pouco do que o Instituto de Pesquisa faz, esse instituto faz aqui dentro da UFPE, um instituto que está ligado à UFPE. Então, nós trabalhamos desde áreas acadêmicas, abrigamos uma comunidade em torno de 732 pessoas trabalhando diretamente nas áreas de petróleo, materiais, energia e a parte também de geologia. E é um prazer nós abrigarmos este evento aqui, né? Um evento que é tão importante para a comunidade acadêmica, uma vez que nós produzimos pesquisa, mas que essa pesquisa ela é aplicada e ela precisa falar e conversar com a sociedade. E nada mais justo do que nós termos agora um ambiente de como é possível e um ambiente facilitador para que essas nossas pesquisas elas cheguem até a sociedade. Pode soltar o vídeo, Alan, por favor.
Estamos em frente a um dos mais importantes institutos de pesquisa de petróleo e energia do Brasil. Bateu a curiosidade? Estamos em frente a um dos mais importantes institutos de pesquisa de petróleo e energia do Brasil. Bateu a curiosidade? Vem com a gente conhecer o LITPEG. O Instituto de Pesquisa em Petróleo e Energia, LITPEG, da Universidade Federal de Pernambuco, nasceu para integrar indústria e academia, visando o desenvolvimento de novas tecnologias, fomento à inovação e formação de recursos humanos para diversas áreas da cadeia produtiva da indústria do petróleo, gás natural, biocombustíveis e energia renovável. O Instituto foi inaugurado em março de 2019 e já despontou como um importante instrumento de geração de inovação e produção de conhecimento no Nordeste do Brasil, e tem ciência de ponta sendo produzida nos laboratórios. 8 grupos fazem pesquisas em Química, Engenharia, Ciência da Computação e Geologia, com um montante negociado superior a 75 milhões de reais. Tudo isso só foi possível com muito investimento, e a Petrobras foi a principal responsável pelos recursos que garantiram a construção do prédio do Instituto e a aquisição de equipamentos. Ao todo, 400 pesquisadores e pesquisadoras estão trabalhando nos 12 laboratórios que compõem o LITPEG. O Instituto é hoje capaz de receber pesquisas de grande porte em simulação e caracterização de reservatórios, petroquímica, refino, combustíveis, energia renovável, materiais, biologia molecular, tecnologia ambiental, geomecânica e corrosão. A ideia é ir além em cooperação com outras universidades e indústrias do Brasil e do mundo. O LITPEG desenvolve programas e projetos de pesquisa, inovação e extensão em caráter permanente e é uma unidade de pesquisa da Empresa Brasileira de Pesquisa e Inovação Industrial, Embrapi, em parceria com o Ministério da Educação e o Ministério da Ciência, Tecnologia e Inovação. Além do edifício principal de 7 andares, que abriga 12 laboratórios, salas de aula, pequeno centro de convenções com auditório principal, 2 auditórios auxiliares e salas de seminários e diversas startups, o complexo conta com uma unidade de planta piloto e um bloco de utilidades que inclui geradores, centrais de gases e ar comprimido, estação de tratamento de esgotos e depósitos para resíduos diversos. Quer saber mais? Visita a página oficial do LITPEG.
Então, vocês conseguem ver um pouco do que nós conseguimos, né, avançar até aqui. Esse é um instituto novo, praticamente, a gente diz que é novo porque a inauguração mesmo foi desde 2019, mas a gente tem grupos de pesquisa aqui bem consolidados, então eu agradeço mais uma vez a parceria. Soraya, estamos abertos aí, todo tipo de evento de divulgação que nós pudermos fazer em parceria com a CAPES será bem-vindo, né? Sejam bem-vindos mais uma vez. Eu já passo a palavra para a Everson da EBSCO, dar as suas boas-vindas.
Obrigado, professora Daiane, a professora Andréa, pela disponibilidade. Bom dia a todos, pessoal, os que estão aqui presentes, né, os que nos acompanham pela web aí. Quero dizer que é um dia muito desafiador para quem mora aqui em Recife, né? Eu sou recifense, moro aqui, mas pertenço a EBSCO, gerenciando Norte, Nordeste, Centro-Oeste, Minas e Espírito Santo. E quero dizer que o motivo da chuva de hoje é naquele nosso amigo da EBSCO, tá aí. Toda vez que ele sai do Rio para vir aqui em Recife, sempre acontece alguma coisa. Nós tivemos ano passado o cancelamento do EBSCO Innovation Day aqui na UFPE, devido às chuvas também, né? Mas hoje ainda bem que deu certo, a gente logo cedo estava com o desafio de saber se ia dar certo, se não ia, mas a gente conversou com a professora André, vamos manter o evento e vamos fazer o híbrido, né? Para aqueles que não conseguirem chegar aqui, nos acompanharem de casa. Então, só para dizer para vocês que é uma satisfação muito grande trazer esse evento aqui para a Terrinha, né, por ser aqui pernambucana, aqui de Recife. Ano passado, esse evento a gente iniciou pela USP, Unicamp, UFMG, UFRN e a UFC. Infelizmente, não deu para a gente vir aqui na UFPE ano passado, mas esse ano, quando abriu a oportunidade, eu fiz questão de trazer aqui para Recife, né, um evento tão importante do I3E, que dispensa comentários, né? A maior e mais importante sociedade tecnológica do mundo. A Esther, ano passado, esteve com a gente, novamente topou esse desafio em parceria com a CAPES. Então, a gente está muito feliz de trazer esse evento aqui para vocês, pessoal, e de antemão agradecer a disponibilidade, né, de vocês estarem aqui presencialmente pela web e desejar a todos um bom evento para nós. E passo a palavra, então, para a Andréa da CAPES. Desculpa, professora. Professora Andréa.
Obrigada. Vamos passar aí para o nosso Roadshow, né? Nosso momento aí mais especial aí da manhã. E a gente inicia dando as boas-vindas, né, a Esther, a Soraya, pela disponibilidade, né, de compartilhar um pouco conosco o que vocês estão fazendo, trazer um pouco e estreitar esses laços, né, entre a universidade e essas instituições. Então, so now we would like sincerely thank our speaker, Esther and Soraya, for the availability to share knowledge with us. You are very welcome. I'm sure this will be a moment of a great learning, exchange and experience for us. Then, a primeira palestrante, Soraya. Soraya é coordenadora de gestão da informação científica do portal de periódicos da CAPES. É analista em ciência e tecnologia da CAPES desde 2013, jornalista, mestre em ciências, especialista em gestão governamental e em gestão da comunicação nas organizações. Soraya, seja muito bem-vinda. Uma salva de palmas para a Soraya.
Bom dia a todos, a todas. Obrigada por terem aceitado esse desafio de vir aqui, né, nesse dia chuvoso. E bom dia também a quem está assistindo online. Podem colocar a apresentação, por favor? Obrigada. Bom, eu sou da CAPES, né, trabalho no portal de periódicos, vou falar um pouquinho. A CAPES esse ano está fazendo 75 anos, né, acredito que todos aqui já tenham ouvido falar da CAPES, né, a CAPES, ela fomenta, avalia a pós-graduação brasileira, estrito sensu, né, mestrados e doutorados, também tem um braço na parte da formação de professores de educação superior, aliás, formação de professores de educação básica, né? Então, também tem linhas de fomento nesse sentido. E o portal de periódicos da CAPES é a parte que a gente pode voltar um pouquinho, por favor. O portal de periódicos da CAPES é a parte que cuida da disseminação da informação científica, né? Então, eu vou falar um pouquinho da nossa atuação, em especial dos acordos de leitura e publicação. Tá? Então, pode passar. Então, a comunicação científica, ela tem vários desafios, né? Então, a sustentabilidade financeira, a infraestrutura editorial e tecnológica, capacidade técnica, capacidade de gestão, reconhecimento e visibilidade, né? E como que a gente supera esses desafios? Pode passar, por favor? Problemas técnicos, pessoal. Só um minutinho. Então, a gente precisa coordenar esses esforços, né? E, para isso, a gente precisa do auxílio das instituições, dos formuladores de política, dos editores, dos pesquisadores. Pode passar? E o que o portal de periódicos faz, né? Então, nós temos a missão aí de promover esse fortalecimento dos programas de pós-graduação, um público potencial aí de mais de 6 milhões de estudantes e pesquisadores. Atualmente, nós damos acesso a 452 instituições de ensino superior, né? Então, esse número é do finalzinho de 2025, né? Então, também acesso a 461, nós temos, né? Tivemos em 2025 461 milhões de acessos ao conteúdo contratado pelo portal e também ao conteúdo disponibilizado em acesso aberto pelo portal de periódicos. Um orçamento aí do ano passado de 323 milhões de reais, o que acreditem é pouco, tá? Para os contratos que a gente tem, esse número aqui foi reduzido e esse ano a gente conseguiu aumentar um pouquinho, mas ainda a situação está complicada justamente porque esses contratos eles são caros, né? Esse conteúdo científico, ter acesso a ele é oneroso e dar acesso a ele para 452 instituições, vocês imaginam, né? Mas isso é muito gratificante, porque esse acesso permite que a pós-graduação brasileira consiga visualizar 40 mil títulos de periódico em texto completo, livros, né? Nós temos mais de 200 mil livros completos na nossa base, temos bases, temos ferramentas, né? Então, e agora nós temos os acordos de leitura e publicação, que também é um acordo com o CIEM, né? Então, pode passar. Esse é o site do portal de periódicos, né? Então, quem já conhece, e para quem não conhece também, vou explicar, a gente tem aqui essa parte da busca, né? Que pode buscar por assuntos, lista de bases e coleções, lista de livros, periódicos. Quem está acessando de dentro da universidade, quando olhar ali no acesso, onde está ali café, ali em cima, vai estar aparecendo você está logado na UFPE, né? E quem quiser acessar de casa, com o login da UFPE, consegue ter esse acesso remoto, né? Para entrar, agora a gente atualizou o jeito de entrar, né? A gente está com aquele single sign-on, que é o GovBR, tem a possibilidade também de entrar pela CAPES, pelo login da CAPES, pelo login do OrcID, e aí vocês vão acessar aqui, nesse entrar, as inscrições para treinamentos, os certificados dos treinamentos, é um espaço para serviços, né? A busca não precisa necessariamente estar logado, mas aí os serviços do portal, sim. Para acessar os treinamentos, então aqui a gente sempre coloca os destaques, né? E embaixo tem uma seção de informativos, e a gente tem ali, onde tem aqueles 3 pontinhos do lado do portal de periódicos, também mais opções para acessar os treinamentos, ajuda, né? E esse é o nosso portal de periódicos. Pode passar? E como que o portal de periódicos está atuando aí nessa parte do acesso aberto? Pode passar também? Em 2023, a gente, desculpe aí que encavalou um pouquinho a apresentação, mas em 2023 a gente teve essa portaria, né, CAPES 275, que instituiu o Programa de Apoio à Disseminação Científica e Tecnológica, né, em substituição ao PAAP, a gente agora tem o PADICT. E aqui são os objetivos do PADIT, né? Então, disseminar a produção científica para fortalecimento da pós-graduação e da formação de professores, distribuir conteúdo científico às instituições participantes, ampliar e facilitar acesso a serviços de informações do país, incentivar iniciativas de promoção de conhecimento científico entre alunos, professores, pesquisadores, otimizar a aquisição e assinatura de conteúdos científicos e de publicações eletrônicas e possibilitar o funcionamento e atualização do portal de periódicos. Desculpa, esse daqui era sobre a ciência aberta. É que essa apresentação, a gente não tinha a fonte aqui, e aí a gente não percebeu que esse slide estava desse jeito, mas era mostrando, pode passar esse daí então, mas era mostrando a parte da ciência aberta, né? Que na ciência aberta você tem acesso a dados, a redes de pesquisa, a publicações científicas, repositórios institucionais. Então, ela engloba uma série de possibilidades aí, né? E a ideia é você compartilhar esse conhecimento científico, né? E tecnológico e poder levar mais visibilidade e também mais impacto e conseguir essa colaboração aí globalmente. Então, pode voltar, por favor? E aí, a estratégia da CAPES para a gente mudar do que antes era apenas pagar pelo acesso a esse conteúdo científico, e agora a gente está apoiando leitura, publicação e governança. E como que a gente tem feito isso, né? Então, a gente tem investido na infraestrutura do Cielo. O Cielo, ele tem os periódicos em acesso aberto, mas para esse acesso aberto estar ali funcionando, para eles não cobrarem por esse acesso, alguém tem que auxiliar para que eles consigam funcionar, né? Pagar essa operação. E a CAPES é uma das instituições que tem fomentado o Cielo, né? Então, isso é uma ação que a gente tem feito no portal. As políticas públicas de apoio aos APCs, né? Que é o que eu vou falar um pouquinho aqui, a questão do acordo de leitura e publicação. Os APCs são as taxas de processamento de artigo. Então, a gente tem esses acordos justamente para fomentar a publicação em acesso aberto. Os depósitos em repositórios institucionais, na semana passada a gente teve aí o lançamento de um guia da interoperabilidade, né? A gente tem tentado conectar os repositórios institucionais com a nossa plataforma Inspira, né? Para facilitar a vida dos programas de pós-graduação com relação a essa interoperabilidade e também para a gente conseguir ter acesso a esses repositórios e conseguir disponibilizar isso de uma forma mais global, né? Então, a gente tem construído essa estratégia de investimento coordenada para apoiar a diversidade e independência na ciência. Pode passar? E esses são os nossos atuais acordos de leitura e publicação, né? Então, a gente está com 7 acordos vigentes, com a CS de Química, com a ACM de Computer Machine, com a Wiley, a Royal Society Publishing, Elsevier, I3E e Springer Nature. Os últimos que foram assinados foram com a Springer e a Elsevier, os outros já estavam funcionando, no ano passado eles já estavam funcionando, e Springer e Elsevier começaram a partir de janeiro. Pode passar? A gente já teve mais de 4.500 artigos aprovados nesse fomento, né, nesses acordos. E aqui nessa página, que é logo abaixo ali daquele menu da busca, a gente tem esse menu relacionado ao acesso aberto. Então, para ter mais informações sobre esses acordos, é só clicar aqui nesse pagamento de APC, né, e eles vão ter todos os editores. Cada editor tem algumas regrinhas específicas, tem os periódicos que são passíveis de publicação dentro desse contrato, né? E as instituições elegíveis, mas a UFPE é uma delas, eu acredito que em todos eles, mas a gente tem essas 7 possibilidades. Aqui também, pode voltar só um pouquinho, por favor? A gente tem aqui essa página, essa parte dos treinamentos, e aqui eu queria falar um pouquinho para vocês. Todos os dias nós temos treinamentos do portal de periódicos, de manhã e de tarde, às 9 da manhã, às 14 horas. A primeira parte do treinamento é geral. Então, independente da área que estiver aparecendo lá, todo mundo pode se inscrever, assistir e vai mostrar o básico de como utilizar, como acessar o portal de periódicos, tá? E aí, numa segunda parte, tem o conteúdo específico dos editores. Nós também temos treinamentos especiais, costumam acontecer 2 a 3 vezes na semana. Normalmente são noturnos, né? Mas eventualmente também temos alguns horários à tarde. E esse treinamento portal de periódicos, nós também temos treinamento sabático, que a gente chama, que na verdade é o treinamento de sábado, né? Então, em algumas semanas nós temos esses treinamentos aos sábados, tá? E aí, para acessar o calendário, pode clicar aqui ou pode clicar lá naqueles 3 pontinhos. O material de apoio do curso também está aí disponível. E a semana de engenharia vai ser na semana do dia 20, né? Então, sem ser na próxima semana a outra, vai ser o conteúdo específico de engenharias, tá? O do I3E do dia 21 de maio. E nós vamos ter também um treinamento especial com as bibliotecárias do portal. Vamos falar tudo sobre o PADICT, os acordos de leitura e publicação, no dia 1º de junho, no dia 22 de junho. Tá bom? Então, acessem o calendário, fiquem ligados aí nesses treinamentos que vão acontecer. E para fazer as inscrições, basta clicar aqui nesse acesso ao calendário, clica lá no que vocês querem acessar, façam o login, né, e vão conseguir se inscrever, tá bom? Pode passar? Outro lugar também que vocês podem ter mais informações, no site da CAPES, nesse CAPES em números, pode passar? Vai ter esse painel de dados do APC. Esse daqui mostra o que a gente já teve de artigos aprovados, quantidade de autores, as regiões, né? Então, eu peguei um exemplo aqui, pode passar? Do I3E, os painéis, esse daqui está filtrado com o I3E, de dezembro de 2025, esse número, que a gente já tem mais de 860 artigos aprovados, né, nesse acordo. Então, é só para vocês terem uma ideia como é que aparece. Então, aparecem as instituições, quais são os journals que estão tendo mais publicação, se ele é full open access ou híbrido, né? Então, o full open access ele vai estar inteiro em acesso aberto. O híbrido, ele tem alguns artigos fechados, alguns artigos em acesso aberto. Pode passar? E como participar, né, desses acordos de leitura e publicação? Então, o processo de submissão para a editora é o mesmo. Vocês vão escolher o periódico, procurem lá na lista das editoras, né, no nosso site, quais são os periódicos que estão dentro do acordo, e aí submete o artigo normalmente. Então, quando esse artigo ele é aprovado, a editora envia para a gente num sistema próprio que a gente tem, na verdade, o sistema deles, né, que a gente consegue, tem esse acesso. Então, eles enviam para a nossa análise. Pode passar? E o que a gente olha, né, para poder aceitar esse fomento, para poder pagar essa taxa de processamento de artigo? Então, a gente tem a portaria CAPES número 120, de 26 de abril de 2024, é ela que regula o pagamento de APC. Então, tudo que vocês precisam saber está nessa portaria. O que a gente vai olhar? A gente vai ver se o periódico está no contrato, se a instituição está no contrato, se o autor solicitou uma licença CC BY para publicação daquele artigo e a gente só aceita licença CC BY. NCND não, só a CC BY, tá? Então, a CC BY é a licença que vai dar a possibilidade das pessoas citarem esse artigo, né? Então, é a mais aberta possível, porque a ideia é essa, né? Ciência aberta. E a gente vai ver se o autor é elegível. E aí, os autores elegíveis, eles estão ali elencados no artigo 10, no inciso 1º dessa portaria, e basicamente o que a gente olha é vínculo e ORCID, tá? O vínculo a gente vai olhar a partir da plataforma Sucupira, né? Então, vocês têm que ter certeza que o cadastro de vocês na plataforma Sucupira está atualizado. São elegíveis docentes ativos, discentes de mestrado e doutorado, egressos com até 5 anos de titulação até a data de submissão desse artigo, tá? E a gente tem também a possibilidade de agentes públicos, né? Então, aí pode entrar um técnico de laboratório, pode entrar um médico, no caso dos hospitais, pode entrar pós-doc, né? Então, a gente tem e alguns que não estão na plataforma Suspiro, professores, por exemplo, da graduação, que não estão num programa de pós-graduação, e aí esses a gente vai olhar a partir do vínculo dele no portal da transparência. Quando não está no portal da transparência, às vezes a gente pede um comprovante de vínculo da instituição, né? Mas aí, esses aí, muitas vezes a gente demora um pouquinho mais para analisar, porque a gente precisa verificar o vínculo de outras fontes, tá? Com relação ao ORCID, pode passar? É importante que vocês coloquem o ORCID na solicitação, né? Então, a gente solicitou aos editores que tivessem um campo de ORCID em cada solicitação, na página de submissão, para que vocês ponham esse ORCID. O ORCID, para a gente, ele é como o CPF do pesquisador. Então, para tudo na CAPES, a gente vai solicitar o ORCID de vocês, para poder desambiguar. Porque não tem como, chega uma solicitação da Ana Silva, né, do João Antônio Fagundes, sabe? Assim, como é que eu vou saber quem é quem, qual pesquisador? Se aquele pesquisador é o pesquisador que eu tenho vínculo, eu vou pelo ORCID. Então, se o ORCID dele está preenchido e está preenchido na plataforma Suspiro, eu consigo identificar aquela pessoa. E aí a aprovação é muito mais rápida, é quase automática, tá? Porque se a gente não identificar quem é o pesquisador, vai entrar em pendência, a gente vai ter que perguntar, pedir, porque tem possibilidade de homônimo, a gente vai ter que perguntar, vai demorar, tá? Então, para vocês, para a gente conseguir enxergar vocês têm que entrar lá no site do ORCID, fazer o cadastro no ORCID, deixar esse cadastro visível para a CAPES. No próximo slide eu vou mostrar onde que vocês fazem isso, e depois fazer o login nesse site, meusdados.capes.gov.br, e nessa parte identificadores, e adicionar um novo identificador, o ORCID, e aí ele vai estar aparecendo ali, como está aparecendo o meu, tá? E assim a gente vai conseguir visualizar vocês, tá? Então pode passar. Aqui a página do ORCID, ó, ele tem que estar como Everyone ou Trusted Parties, para que a gente consiga visualizar vocês na CAPES, tá bom? Pode passar? Então é isso, gente. O PADICT, né, que é o nosso programa de apoio à disseminação científica e tecnológica, e esses acordos de leitura e publicação firmados pelo portal, a ideia é ampliar o acesso ao conhecimento, né, e buscar potencializar o impacto da pesquisa brasileira no cenário global. E com esses acordos, e esses acordos, é importante dizer, eles têm eles são para publicações ilimitadas, ou seja, a CAPES já acordou com as editoras um preço fixo. E aí esse preço não vai mudar se eu publicar o artigo da professora Andréia, o artigo da professora Dayana, o artigo do Lucas, não vai mudar, né? Então, quanto mais vocês tiverem artigos aprovados e conseguirem submeter para que a gente ajude a pagar essas taxas de processamento de artigo, os nossos acordos vão estar mais eficientes, né? Então, publiquem, tá? Esses acordos ainda vão durar alguns anos, a gente espera, né? Então, publiquem para que a gente consiga ter mais acesso aberto, né? Mais publicações brasileiras, de instituições brasileiras em acesso aberto, e que a gente consiga mais visibilidade para a nossa ciência e trazer mais impacto, tá bom? É isso, gente. Muito obrigada. Passo a palavra para a Andréia.
Bom, Soraya, muito obrigada. Acho que foi muito esclarecedor. Anotem as dúvidas, porque a gente vai deixar aí esse momento para pós-palestra de Esther, né? Então, acho que muitas dúvidas. Quem está aí online também pode estar enviando via chat, que a gente vai estar tendo acesso e lendo aqui para todos nós. Tá? Então, para a gente dar continuidade, vamos apresentar a nossa segunda palestrante, a Esther. É gerente de serviços ao cliente do I3E, com sede em Berlim, na Alemanha. Ela oferece seminários gratuitos, online ou até presenciais, sobre o I3E Explorer Digital Library, publicação com o I3E e suporte em acordos de acesso aberto. Ela realiza treinamentos, ações que divulgam a conscientização para diversas comunidades de usuários do I3E, incluindo bibliotecários, autores, engenheiros, pesquisadores, estudantes, professores, além de estar apoiando e incentivando as necessidades de informação dos ramos estudantis do I3E. Esther ingressou no I3E em 2013 e possui mais de 20 anos de experiência na indústria de informação. Ela é mestre em linguística pela Humboldt University de Berlim e fala alemão, inglês, húngaro e muito mais. Esther, willkommen, welcome, come here.
Obrigada. Okay, now we come to the difficult part in English. Okay, so I will mute this. Thank you. So we are not going to play the Menti quiz because there is no internet, but instead, if you are participating in the session, I have small presents to all, like stickers, to all of you, if you're participating for your laptops. So IEEE, and maybe Everson, you can help me to hand out them later, okay? So please go to the next slide. And if you have not registered for this event, please register now, because we will issue certificates for participation from IEEE. So for that, I need to have your email address and name. Yeah, okay, good. So I thank you very much to Antonio to translating my slides from English into Portuguese last night, very, very late. He did a great job, thank you very much.
Very well.
So I work for the organization IEEE, and there are so many versions of this name in any country, so you can name as you like. It stands for Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and this organization was founded originally as the American Institute of Electrical Engineers back in the 19th century, and it was founded by Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Edison. And there was another organization, the Institute of Radio Engineers by Guillermo Marconi. And both of these organizations, they merged in the 60s, and this is how the logo is also merged. So, but it has a very long history. We have also, all over the world, hundreds of thousands of members. At this university, we also have student members, and probably some of you is an IEEE member. Can you raise? Okay, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so we are also an important publisher of technical literature. We publish around more than 200 different journals and magazines. Most of them offer an option to publish open access. I will explain this later. And we also are an important organization who is organizing or sponsoring conferences, technical conferences. We will discuss later what are the differences between a conference and a journal. And how many of you have heard about IEEE standards, the norms, right? Norms. Have you heard about an IEEE standard? Which one do you know? So many. In telecommunication, we have very famous standard, the standard for Wi-Fi. It's an IEEE developed standard, or Ethernet, and we have many others very used worldwide. So everything what we publish is published in the IEEE Explore Digital Library, and thanks to CAPES, this university has access to all the journals, the magazines, the standards of the IEEE, and you can also publish open access articles in our journals and some magazines. Okay, next slide, please. Oh yes, I forgot to, that if you're interested to learn about the activities of the IEEE in Brazil, please visit their website. Within the IEEE, there are many different societies. Maybe you heard about the Computer Society, or Communication Society, Power and Energy Society. We have robotics, automation, we have biomedical engineering, or engineering in medicine and biology. And we also have these affinity groups like women in engineering. So I'm really happy to see that this is going to start at this university. And if you would like to visit the website of the IEEE Brazil section, there is a separate subsection for Nordeste, right? And because it's a huge country. But they are also sponsoring and organizing IEEE conferences. So it's a great opportunity for students, first, who have not published any paper, to go to an IEEE conference and present your first publication there. Next slide, please. Of course, everything what we publish is peer-reviewed and vetted before publication. That is a core of scientific publications, a rigorous, strict peer review process. And that is what differentiates us from predatory publishers. We will talk about that later. Those are publishers who promise you if you pay $200, you can get published within 2 weeks. But there is no quality. Those publishers unknown, they publish articles in many different fields, so be careful about them. What is important when you decide where to publish is you have to check some basic quality criteria. But the IEEE journals, you can see on the screen, they're very highly ranked in different disciplines based on the journal impact factor. You see the electrical engineering, telecommunication, computer science, and also based on the site score. This is from Scopus. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the impact factor, but this is something which has been developed by librarians, I think in the 50s, to measure the quality of journals. And it is based on how many citations articles in journals get in the last 2 or 3 years, and they calculate an average. And based on that, every year in June, this impact factor is published in the Journal Citation Report. That's a database. And you can check, look into, okay, your field is, I don't know, petrochemical science. And then you go to this database and you can see, okay, these are the most important high impact journal, quality journal in your field. And you check this for electrical engineering, computer science, and in these disciplines, IEEE has a very strong publishing impact. Next slide, please. And it is so strong that even compared to other publishers like Elsevier, Wiley, IEEE has, in these disciplines and some others, the highest impact factor journal. So we are a smaller society publisher. We publish 200 journals, but in these disciplines, we have the strongest impact because our journals are always on the top. Well, not always, but many of them are on the top. Next slide, please. And please click through, thank you. So, and of course, in artificial intelligence, there's one gentleman who is planning to study this, machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep learning. We have more than 500,000 publications in this field, only in IEEE Explorer. We started many years before to publish on artificial intelligence. You see some of the journals. We have top journals in these fields, and we do also something interesting on the standards, the normas. We develop standards in the ethical use of artificial intelligence. That's a very important topic. If you develop, let's say, any product or solution, you have to know what ethical guidelines you have to follow. Let's say if you would like to train a large language model with patients' data, are you allowed to do this? So the engineers need these standards or guides to follow. IEEE is one of the standards organizations, and we develop also in this field, not just Wi-Fi and Ethernet, but in other fields as well. Next slide, please. Next. And why would you publish with IEEE? And maybe that's now a first question to the audience, and you can also answer in Portuguese, if you like. So what is for you a criteria, or when you decide where to publish, which publisher, which journal, what do you look for? Is there any criteria, maybe by the university? Do you have? The quality?
There's a Brazilian criteria that we call CAPES.
Ah, yeah.
We use that to.
I don't know if it's working. Okay.
There is a Brazilian criteria that the name is CAPES, and we use that to choose our journals.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So you can. I have this. Maybe Everson, can you have me? Sure. This is not so important, but just for fun. You can select one sticker if you like. Yeah, so there is this list, probably, yeah, you know that better. That's really easy, yes, of course, because someone is created in your field this list of publications where you have, but that is probably based also on the impact factor of the journals and science score. Yeah, that's really good. But anyone else, you have many options there. How? Yeah. So that's a very good point. The minimum criteria could be for you to select, is the journal indexed in Web of Science or Scopus? They are both very good. So that's a criteria for quality, it could be. And then you can see, does the journal have an impact factor already? Some journals are really new. They need maybe 2 or 3 years to develop an impact factor, but this is really good that you have in Brazil this list of journals. But yeah.
In the case of the name of the journal, popular?
Yes. So your main goal, thank you. You can have a sticker. Yeah. 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 People online, yes.
Pessoal, vamos falar no microfone porque nós estamos transmitindo, senão as pessoas de casa não conseguem escutar o que vocês estão perguntando.
I'm talking about the name of the company, journal popular in this case.
Yes.
Credibility.
Credibility, the oldies publisher, CAPES is mentioned, Wiley, Elsevier, Springer, they are well known. But the main goal for you, all of you, you would like to get published in a journal which is peer-reviewed, vetted, and which is read by the international audience in your discipline, because you would like to share your results with your colleagues in your discipline. So it doesn't matter which journal, it has to be a good journal in your scope, in your field. Because if you only go, I just publish it, it's available, but no one is reading it, or not necessarily the best audience, then you're not reaching your actual goal. But you have several options. You have several journals, you have several conferences where you could potentially publish. And of course, there IEEE is here for, maybe you switch it up. Thank you. IEEE is publishing journals for more than 100 years. These journals are indexed in Web of Science, and hundreds of our conferences are also indexed in Web of Science and Scopus as well. Next slide, please. And I was trying to, these are the wrong slides. Next slide, please. These are the wrong, okay, we click further. Maybe there was, I think we are using the wrong, yes, this one. This is correct, right? So that's really a big difference from yesterday's university, the numbers. So here, the UFPE, UFPE, we have more than 3,000 publications only from this university, either in one of journals or in conferences. This is a really high number. And the most cited paper is it's an older one, but that's normal. So 1997, which received at least more than 400 citations. And if you click, Antonio, you can see some names. Do you recognize some names? Okay. Yeah. So these are not the complete list of authors, because we have many, many more from your university. Sometimes they co-publish. Thank you, Antonio. Good. So, so do you see their names? There are a lot of them already publishing. Next slide, please. And 82 of these, they are open access thanks to the CAPES agreement. When this really increased in all Brazil, it's amazing how the numbers increased thanks to the CAPES agreement. Next slide, please. And if you publish in IEEE journals or conferences, we automatically generate author profiles in IEEE Explorer. You probably also have in Scopus or Web Science, but we generate this, and you can see this probably professor here, and he has published in IEEE Explorer conferences and journal articles more than 200, and these papers received more than 1,400 citations. And this is even higher number if you look in Scopus or Web of Science. And you see his name, and especially in Brazil, there are so many name variations. It's really difficult to find in different databases all the publications from one author. So it's important to have an org ID. This author has one as well. Next, there are other profiles too. This is another example for an author. They all have author org IDs. And you can see the biography. Next, please. I think there's another one. Yes. Yeah. There's a biography as well, which we take from the latest published journal article, okay? Sometimes these profiles are not complete because all of these name variations. But if you have an IEEE Explore account, which any one of you can create within 1 minute, you can reach out to IEEE on their manage profile and we will update your profile as well because there's something missing or something like that. Next slide. So it's important also when you select the publisher that in which fields IEEE is publishing. For example, the ACM, it is a computer science publisher. For IEEE, this computer science is just one of the fields. We publish in many, many disciplines. We publish almost in all technology disciplines. If you are maybe in chemistry, the ACS, the American Chemical Society, is a very, very important publisher in chemistry. At the IEEE, we don't have so much chemistry, maybe we have material science, which we could say, okay? But we have robotics, our AI, etc. Next slide, please. Next. And this is his personal profile. I would recommend to all authors or future authors to create this profile in our digital library. Sorry, it's not a profile, it's a login in IEEE Explore. Because with this login, you can automate the searching in IEEE Explore. You will get an email when a new paper has been published in your target journal, or a new conference paper, or your professor published a new paper in Explore. You can save a search for them. Next slide, please. And twice, click. In the advanced search, and that is really important, you have to search and you have to find relevant articles in your field. You have to know what has been published before or recently. You have to compare your research results with already published articles. For that, you have to use and search in digital libraries like IEEE Explore or Science Direct or others. And it's really important, if you're using for searching papers and you rely only on ChatGPT or other tools, it is really dangerous. Those tools, although they are getting better, but those tools hallucinate papers. They hallucinate IEEE papers with Elsevier. There's so many fake reference lists in published reports. You really have to make sure that the literature, what any tool is suggesting you, does this really exist? And you have to read that article. You have to read all the articles and literature, what you're planning to use in the reference list in your PhD thesis, master thesis, to be very careful with these AI tools. We will talk about this later as well. So, yes, so go back, please. So my point was to, in IEEE Explore, you're still using the keyword-based searching. We are also implementing an AI-supported search in the future, but still it's keyword-based. That means you have to enter the keywords, the search terms, and you have to search in the advanced search with the field full text and metadata. Full text and metadata. Why? Because most of these other tools, they only search the metadata, which is the title of a journal article, the abstract, the index terms. This is just one part of the paper. But if you're writing your PhD thesis, or if you prepare for an article submission to one of our journals, you have to dig deeper. You have to search the whole article, the introduction part, methodology. Why do you think it's important? the results, because the abstract is only mentioning the key points. But let's say in the conclusion section of the article, what is there mentioned? In the conclusion section of a paper, at the end of the paper, it's very often the future ideas of the authors mentioned. You will not find that if you just search with some keywords the metadata. So PhD students and anyone who is planning to publish in a journal, please use this full text and metadata searching in the advanced search in IEEE Explorer. Next slide, please. And we have also introduced a new type of result listing. We have this image search where you can see, instead of the title of the articles, you can see instantly the most relevant figures, pictures, diagrams from the articles. So for many of you, maybe this is an easier way to identify, is this paper or are these results interesting for me or not? So you can dig deeper. This is what we call image search, but basically it's an image result list. Next slide, please. Next. Okay. How do we select now the paper? Next slide. So, or a good journal or a conference. Let's say you have never published before. You would definitely talk to your professor and supervisor. Okay, first, before you decide where to publish. And then there is also this list by discipline, right, in Brazil, recommendations. But, next slide, please. If you have no idea where to start, okay, what IEEE journals they are, what IEEE conferences, you can use this publication recommender tool where you enter in the middle of the page your keywords. In this example, my topic is on intelligent tutors. Or on the right-hand side, you can upload an abstract or summary of your paper in English, like a short text. And this tool will recommend you IEEE journals or magazines and IEEE conferences in the topics in your field. But you have still much more work to do, but this is the first step. Let's say you are a student, you go to your professor. Before you go into the professor, you could do this in preparation. Use this IEEE publication recommender tool, and you can see them. These are the periodicals. These are means either, which is actually also probably in Portuguese you see periodicals. Yeah, so you know what it means. In Germany maybe they wouldn't. But so journals or magazines, and you see the title on these several journals we have: IEEE Transactional Learning Technologies, IEEE Transactional Artificial Intelligence. And you can see the second column, is open access publishing possible or not in these journals? The third, does the journal or the magazine have an impact factor? This one is really important. How long it takes between submitting the article to the journal to publishing in IEEE Explorer in weeks. And you can see this sometimes 40 weeks on average. This is not always. Sometimes less, but it can take longer. So if you're planning to publish in a journal or magazine, you have to think, plan that it can take several months. And unfortunately, you can only submit your article at one journal at the same time. So you have to wait until the peer review is finished. Yeah. But there are differences here, and we have an open access journal. It's also IEEE access. It's also covered by CAPES that has a peer review time of 4 to 6 weeks maximum. But it doesn't mean that it's easier to get published there. They still have a very high rejection rate of 70%, but the peer review time is shorter. Also, I don't know if you heard about letters, IEEE letters. They publish a certain type of articles. They are short papers, but full original research papers, but they are meant to publish important research results rapidly. So let's say you have a really important project with your professor, you talk, and these results are so important, you can go to an IEEE letter, but it's difficult to write because it's 4 or 5 pages only. You have to be very experienced, good writer, because it's difficult to write a basically full article within 4 or 5 pages maximum. Okay? But they also have impact factor. You can publish open access in letters, but they usually have a shorter review time, maybe 10 weeks, but not always, okay? There's no guarantee because it depends also on the peer review cycle. Next, and then these are the conferences, the IEEE conferences. This is in the same tool, publication recommender tool. And you see, I found 2 conferences. One of them is in Japan, the other one is in Australia. And you have to visit the website, the website of the conference. You have to find the call for paper information, author information, and usually you have to be at the conference in person to present. Sometimes it's online, but there are definitely registration costs to be paid. This is you have to talk to the university, and also travel costs for the conference if you go in person. If you are an IEEE member, there are always discounts for IEEE members. For many, many years, I made PhD students, they are members of the IEEE only because they can get discounts at the conferences. So, next slide. Okay, so what is the difference between a conference paper or a journal article? Do you see yourself any difference? Have you read probably a conference paper, you read journal article, what is the difference? Anyone in Portuguese? Yes, yeah.
A paper from a conference is a part of your research, not finished yet. It's a part.
Yes. Are you in computer science or which?
No, I used to go to ICMC conference. I have some papers there, but all of them are from the conference.
Yes. So you can go, yes, to a conference. You decide maybe at an earlier stage of your research project, or then you can publish and present early results, maybe not the end results. You go to conferences for networking as well, to meet your colleagues. They give you feedback after your presentation, and it's really helpful. And you can go to several conferences, and then maybe you publish later a journal article, which is when your research is complete, which represents your project or research results, which are more, end results, final conclusions, more details on the methodology, the results. Yes, so you can combine both of them. Usually, we say if you have not published anything, please start with a conference. There are, in fact, some IEEE journals where require the author to go to a conference from the same IEEE society who is responsible for the journal before submitting to a journal. That is rarely, but this even can happen. But what other differences are there? Any difference when you can think of a conference paper? So they are shorter, yes?
I think a conference paper, I'm new. I'm a new member, so I'm guessing focus on presentations.
Yeah, you have to present your paper, you're right. So you have to be in person and present the paper, where the journal you can submit anytime on journal online and it's published at the end. You don't have to present to the audience. Yeah, that's a very good point, yeah.
A question, is there a difference between a presentation in a journal or a conference? Like, what's the difference between the presentations?
There is no you mean what presentation?
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, it's okay. Yeah, so you go to conference. So conferences, you use different templates. That's really important. But also, I don't know if the ministry list includes conferences. Does it include IEEE conferences, or is only for journals and magazines? This list of what you mentioned. Okay. Because only journals and magazines can have impact factor. Conferences do not have impact factor. There's a different type of publication, but they are still very highly regarded. Many of them are ranked. It's not easy to publish in conferences, but just by content type, only journals and magazines can have impact factor. Conferences do not have impact factor, but hundreds of IEEE conferences are indexed in Scopus and Web of Science, okay? Also, currently, we do not have an open access program for conferences. At the IEEE, we only have for journals and for some magazines, and the open access costs are covered by CAPES, but for conferences, we don't have like an overall open access program. But what you can do with the conference papers, there is the green open access. That means you can publish the accepted version of the conference paper, not the copyrighted version on IEEE Explorer, but the accepted version of the conference paper you can upload into your institutional repository. That's like an internal database. But the other organization, they might have a different policy on that, where your conference paper, yeah. So this is our policy, IEEE policies for the conference papers, that you can publish the accepted version of the paper, not on your own website, on your institutional repository. But you are not allowed to post it on ResearchGate. Okay, that's something else. Okay, and next slide, please. I don't, oh yes, in Brazil, we have IEEE conferences regularly. So if you go to IEEE.org and search for conferences, you can find all the IEEE conferences taking place all over in Brazil. That means, so there's the Brazilian Congress of Biomedical Engineering, IEEE Sensor Applications Symposium, Artificial Intelligence, Computer Data Science in Rio, and they have, oh, well, this is, how is this in Brazil? Yeah, it is in Brazil. Okay, but yeah. So these are options for you to start. Or maybe you can organize a smaller, in preparation, a smaller conference for students here where they present their papers first. So I think even before, maybe you're not planning to do PhD, but even if you finish your master thesis, it makes sense to create, based on the master's thesis, and go and present at an IEEE conference. It's really good for your career, on your CV, that you finish your studies, you have a good grade, and you go to a bigger conference in your field, where there are experts, and then after the conference is finished, your paper is published in IEEE Explorer and will be there forever. And you can reference this. So even if you're not planning to go into a research career, it's great to start with conferences. Next slide, please.
Excuse me.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, another difference between journal and conference is the core public in this case. journal conference is more specific people in specific area. Is about that?
Yeah, it could be. There are big differences between it depends. Some conferences, they cover many disciplines. Let's say, but some are smaller. It depends on the topics. The call for paper information on the conference, you can find all the topics they cover. And sometimes they cover many disciplines. But there are also IEEE journals like IEEE Access. It's very multidisciplinary. They cover also a lot of fields. They work with hundreds of associate editors. But that's a good point, that you have to always check the aim and scope of the journal and the conference where you submit the article. Yes, thank you. Did you get to the sticker? No, you have to select one. Okay, next slide. Okay, then next. Yes, so this is an important topic, the avoiding predatory publishers. You probably heard often or received some emails on where you are invited. If you pay a couple $100, you can be published in in that journal. So, what can you do? How do you know that this is not reliable? I mean, many of you know exactly what I mean, but what makes it so obvious that that journal is not good? They accept everything? Yes. Yes. Yes.
1 hour later.
Yeah, 1 hour later. Yes, thanks. So exactly. So there is no peer review, no rigorous peer review. You just submit and they accept 1 hour later, as you said. So, or like very soon. So there is no rigorous peer review, no nothing happens because they publish anything what you submit there. Any other comment?
Speed of they promise answer fast, not to publish fast.
Fast. They promise everything, yes. Yeah. So to avoid this, yeah, that's kind of the guarantee almost, yeah, the guarantee for you that if you, and that sounds really strange. That doesn't sound as a rigorous peer review.
You can also check the impact factor, the Web of Science. Normally, usually they don't have too many citations and everything.
Yes. So the other one criteria you could go to see is the journal indexed in Web of Science. Do they have a journal? But just simply by checking the web appearance or the website of the journal shows you that the journal seems to publish in so many different disciplines that it doesn't make sense, like from biology to engineering. You also have to check the website of the journal. Is it described in detail, the peer review process? You can also see who are the editors of the journal. Yeah, would you like to add something?
The Brazilian metrics that I told before.
Yeah.
They only give a rating every 4 years, and this is a problem because sometimes in 4 years, a journal that is predatory can get a really good evaluation, and they have 4 years to take money off everyone to publish everything, and this is a problem. It's also because it's also why we have to look for the impact factor, the reputation.
Yes, and then it can be that they disappear simply. So a predatory publisher, there's a website, your article is published, and that then disappears, the whole publisher, the site. And most importantly, when you accidentally publish at a predatory publisher, you cannot publish the same results at a quality publications because it's already published, it's already there. They're not going to accept your submission. So, next slide, please. So check all, as we mentioned, the index. Is it in Web of Science or Scopus? Is it well described? how the peer review process, the website of the journal, and always talk to your professor and supervisor before submitting any article to any journal. Because your professor and supervisor, they know exactly, or very well, the journals which fit to in your field, and they are more experienced and they will immediately know. So I'm talking more for younger students of predatory publishers. So most of you are more experienced. That's you know exactly where to publish. Okay, but this is a really big problem. There are even fake conferences I heard. There are even fake conferences they get invitations. So be careful. Next slide, please, and next. I mentioned that within the IEEE we have many different societies, and one of them is the Computer Society. That's one of the biggest, and all of these societies are responsible for our journals. So they decide, okay, we will start a new journal. They also organize their own conferences, sometimes in cooperation, let's say with the Brazil IEEE section or a university in Brazil. And what is very important, next please, to read very carefully the author information dedicated for the journal. That's the most frequent problem editors are telling us. Next slide, please. That authors are not reading the author guidelines. Here is where you can read how many pages are the limit. You can download the templates, the LaTeX or Word template. You can see recommendations on the writing style, how to prepare the figures perfectly, how to prepare the references, or if your journal article goes to a review process, how to write a good cover letter in that. So all this information, and you can also find often call for paper information maybe for a special issue of this journal and that journal. So read these author guidelines carefully, because there is a lot of information important for a successful submission. Next slide, please. And click again, please. My recommendation is to set search alert, automate the searching in your target journals. So let's say you have several options to submit. There are several journals. Save a search for each journal with your keyword and see what has been published in previous years in this journal. Compare those results with yours. See who are the authors. They could be even potentially reviewers for your article. You can see what literature they are citing. You can see how they structure the ideas. You can see the future ideas they mention in the conclusion section. So you really have to read the journal regularly where you are planning to submit a paper. You have to spend time. But to speed up, to make this easier, you can create automated searches in the journal. Yes, please. Yes.
Hi, my name is Rodrigo. There's a problem, I think it's a conflict of interests, that very, very often the reviewer will ask the authors to cite their own papers, and that it's getting really it's a problem, because when you do the revision and then you don't cite their paper, they have the power to just reject your paper, you see. And I think for the associate editors and the editor-in-chief for each of these journals, they have an important role there to at least do not consider that review and do not send that review to the authors, because it puts the author in a thin ice kind of situation. You know? So that's quite challenging. And the other thing I would ask, before. Yeah, it's especially in artificial intelligence field, there has been like a flood of research in that area.
Yeah.
So there are so many papers being submitted in this area for the IEEE. That's not a problem for IEEE only, it's not for all the editors. Is that the time for the review? And then this period of the review is getting really, really big.
Yeah.
You know, and then we take months to get the reject and reconsider some the review per se, and I think that's the amount of
I can hear you. Just another microphone. Yeah.
Obrigado. The amount of papers that has been submitted to these journals, they kind of broke the system.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, because we are getting very poor reviews. I'm not saying it's a rejection review, but it's like 2 lines of a review.
Yeah.
You know, they a review with just like how do I say?
There's no
like review in topics. You know, there's no text, there's no orientation for the authors how to improve the papers, just like topics.
Yeah.
And then you try to figure out what the reviewer is thinking.
Yeah.
So I think that the editors are kind of reaching out for very young or inexperienced reviewers that they end up doing this very, very poor.
Which publisher is it with IEEE?
All of them. IEEE, Elsevier, what's the editor for machine learning and the other for neurocomputing. We get very, very poor quality reviews, and then the author has to like think with the head of the reviewer because the review is not explicit.
Yeah.
So there's been so many papers that broke the system. The time has been increased by miles, you know. And
but you mean especially machine learning?
Especially machine learning. And so the time for review has increased a lot, and the quality of the reviews has been really poor.
Yeah. Well, I heard about that there even these preprint servers, they reject the submissions in machine learning because there's so many papers are generated. So I don't know. So the first question was in references and citations. I think we have like a red flag, those reviews where the reviewer is suggesting to add citations. I think in our online submission system, there is a flagging system. So we try to avoid that because that's an overall problem in the whole publishing industry.
That's the money, right? By the editor.
No, I think they all use the same system. Maybe the editor is setting the flags, but I know that there is an IEEE policy all over for the journals to avoid this citation. Let's say, what is this? Fake or like build up the citations there.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's done manually, and very often it goes through, and it gets to the author.
Yeah.
You know, it should be, I don't know, maybe it should be like automatic system for the editors to red flag that.
I think
review.
it is. I think it is red flagging. Yes. I think it is. It's not just the editor is reading or no. I think it's a systematic setting that we are flagging this type of reviews, that when the reviewer is suggesting to add citations. I think it's an overall for IEEE. It's not just manually reading, no. But even if that happens, you can write to the, I mean, if the reviewer is a poor review, or the reviewer is suggesting literature which is not from the field, you have to tell that to the editor-in-chief, to mention like a polite email that you think that this review has not been helpful and there is literature suggested which is not, because it is not the reviewer who decides, the editor-in-chief who makes the final decision of the papers. in the peer review process. But I know that this problem exists, but I think at the IEEE we have this automatically built-in flagging of the system, because it's an online system, when the reviewer is suggesting to add citations to the paper, but this automatic system is not able to check what papers they suggest. Sometimes it makes sense to suggest. Not every suggestion from the reviewer for citation is bad, but if it's only from the same person and it doesn't relate to the paper, then I understand.
Yeah. Basically, the editor has to go and search each of the proposed citations, and check. And check if the author is the same as the reviewer.
Oh, that is what you mean. I see.
It's kind of the editor has been like flooded with this with so many papers. Then these kind of reviews go through.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is really for IEEE.
Yeah, it's for everyone.
Yeah.
For all publishers.
I mean, I don't know. Probably it is easy to, because they know who the reviewers to set these sets. I don't know, but I know that we have a built-in flagging, not manual, a built-in flagging in our system for exactly this. And the other one for this flood, it's a really big problem. This submissions, but not all papers go to the review. Not all papers. Many of them are rejected in the pre-screening if it's, I don't know, out of scope of the journal. There are some limits set. But I know about this problem exists, that too many submissions.
Yeah, the main problem for me is the poor review. Because you can check, there's a pattern there. Because the reviewers, they just have a formulaic kind of a template for the review. Just say, look, I want more recent papers in your related works. That's like a default review.
I see.
They just copy and paste the review they did for another paper. And this review keeps going through and it keeps reaching the authors. It's kind of I don't know, but this the amount of papers that's been going through kind of broke the system. That's what I'm afraid of.
I don't think it's like we can say this for IEEE in general. I see that I get this feedback sometimes that the review is not so good, but maybe in your discipline is especially, there has been many submissions. I understand. Thank you for giving feedback, but I cannot solve, unfortunately.
That's good. Thank you.
Well, we will talk about our artificial intelligence. So next slide, please. Yes, next slide, please. So my main goal and point was that you have to read the journal where you are planning to publish. So don't just look on the list from the ministry or this, but you really have to read the journals before you submit. Let's go to this peer review. Oh yeah, and this is a Portuguese translation of the peer review. That means and if this exactly you made it clear what we expect from a peer review, then it should be vetting process, but it should help to improve the paper. So two, at least. Let's go to the next slide, where you see a very simplified description of what happens in this peer review process. And there are different versions of this, but this is the basic, and I think this is the same for other publishers as well. So for a journal or a magazine, you submit the whole paper online via an online submission system. We call this IEEE Author Portal. And your goal, if you have not published anything yet, to go via the peer review, to benefit from the peer review. Even your paper is rejected, your goal is to go via the peer review, because a good peer review should help to improve the article, and it is not a tragedy if you got rejected. You can still go to another journal and successfully publish your article. So your goal is to pass this pre-screening. That's the first gate where the editor-in-chief or the system is checking if your submitted article is within the aim and scope of the journal. That's really important. If not, they're going to reject it and it's not going into review, not going into the peer review. To avoid this, you talk to your professor and supervisor who can help you. You read the aim and scope of the journal carefully. You read articles from the journal to avoid this rejection. And then, after this step, based on the title, the abstract you wrote, your paper will be directed to an associate editor, and that associate editor is going to contact experts in the field. We call them reviewers. Sometimes the author, you have to suggest a list of reviewers, but it doesn't mean they are going to accept the review. In any case, it is a single anonymous process, or it's previously called single blind. That means you cannot identify the reviewers. And if at least 2 finished are required, 2 complete finished reviews are required for any decision, sometimes more. If you are working very multidisciplinary, there are even more, maybe 5 are required. And this process can take long. It's difficult to find reviewers. If they accept, they are not finishing on time, it takes long. But if they finish based on this review, which you can read one version, by the way, of this review in the online submission. The reviewers writes another version to the associate editor, and the associate editor makes a recommendation or sends the recommendation based on these reviews to the editor-in-chief, and the editor-in-chief is who makes the final decision. So if you wonder, the reviewers, they have different opinions, but it's always the editor-in-chief who makes the final decision, and then they can decide if your paper is rejected. In that case, you go to another journal, you follow the instruction for the other journal for resubmission policy. You have to mention that your paper has been rejected at the previous journal. You used and improved the paper based on the reviewer's recommendation, and you submit to another journal. Or you go into revision. That means you have to create a new version of your article. You have to write a perfect cover letter, an answer to the journal, where you address point by point all these points the reviewer recommended. And then hopefully after this revision, your paper will be accepted for publication. So this is the very basic, but there are versions of this with major revision. Sometimes some journals, they have the possibility to reject and resubmit. It depends on the editor. Or some journals, they have a major revision. Maybe you have to run additional tests or something. Then it might go to another group of reviewers, not the first group. Then they can still reject the article. So this makes this process long, but it is important for a very good peer review. It's important to this vetting process. Do you have any questions on this or comments? Yes. I don't know how much time we have. We have time? Okay.
Do you have, or do you know if exists a type of rank to our rating that journals conference? What is the better? Which is the better journal for publishing in specific area, for example?
What is better and what is not so good? Well, we don't have a blacklist or something like this. There exists a list of predatory journals, but I don't want to mention this because it's not my job to, decide what is bad. But basically, the quality they're not the quality, there is a ranking, this is the impact factor for the journals. So you go into artificial intelligence or machine learning in the journal citation report, that's a database, or you go to CiteScore by Scopus, that is publicly available, and you can see by discipline those journals. And usually the highest impact factor journal, it's the most difficult to publish. And when some universities, they tell to the PhD student to start with the last quartile, but they're still very good journals. It is not the most important to publish in the highest impact factor journal. That's not the most important. It's important to publish in a good journal where there's good peer review and where you get feedback. Yeah. So and for conferences, there is no official kind of impact factor. There are some rankings. Maybe you talk to your professor first. But hundreds of IEEE conferences are indexed in Scopus and Web of Science. That's something you could check. Yeah. Any other? Yeah. On the peer review.
Yeah, but about submission process. For example, in which case is not allowed, is not well seen to resubmit. So
that is
when you submit and your paper is rejected. It's good or well seen
to resubmit? No.
To do the improvements?
No. No. If you well. The same, no. If your paper is rejected and that's it, then you should not resubmit. No, not to the same journal. You go to another journal, another IEEE journal or an Elsevier or other journals. If you got rejected, but some journals, I know it's confusing. We have one journal, the IEEE Access, which has a binary review. They either accept or reject. But sometimes there is a journal article which they reject, but they think, okay, but if the author would maybe run additional tests, they could resubmit. But this depends on the editor-in-chief. If the editor-in-chief is telling, no, this is a rejection, you cannot resubmit. But if the editor-in-chief says, okay, we have to reject this, but you can come back with the resubmission, then it's okay. But if you receive only this rejection, then you can only go to another journal. And for the other journal, you have to mention that your paper has been rejected before at an IEEE journal. You have to mention that.
Every time you're rejected, you have to do this?
Yes, because you have to make it clear that this already has been reviewed once, but you improve the article, and this is a new improved version, what you are what you are submitting at another journal. Yeah, you have to mention. Yeah.
I have a question. Every rejection, you have to change your paper?
After the rejection?
Yeah.
Well, if you would like to publish it or submit it to another journal, yes.
But not in the same journal?
No, you usually would not reject. You would usually not resubmit them. No.
Okay.
And what do you mean?
Other article?
Oh yeah, no, you can write another article. Yes, yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good question. Thanks. I was completely.
Great.
Yes, you can always write another article. Yes, yeah.
There is a website where they've got a list of predatory journals. You can easily access them. Just Google it. Yeah. It's called StopPredatoryJournals.com. So that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And next, we discuss the next slide, please. on what they are checking, the reviewers and editors, when they are checking your article. So first of all, and this is what we mentioned, they check if the scope, the topics of the article fit to the journal. So we discussed this. You have to be very sure about this, carefully prepare. The next one is probably the most important. They validate, they check the methodology described in the article, how they are described, does it make sense, how your results are created. So they validate the whole paper, the core of the paper, sorry. How can you maybe support this part? So you publish your article, you write your article, you submit it, but what other supplements you could use to underline and support this part, the description of the methods and the presentation of the results? What can you add maybe in addition to the article and publish that? So it's very, yeah. So basically, you can also publish corresponding code algorithms to the article. You can publish something like we have a collaboration with Code Ocean, where authors can upload code and algorithms in form of a code capsule, and it will get a DOI number, DOI digital object identifier. It's important for citations. And some IEEE journals, they even include this code into the peer review with the paper together. So what do you prove when you publish the code and together with the paper? What can you prove? Basically, you write your paper, you write your methodology results. What can you prove with the code when you publish the code as well? Make it available as well.
So that you have some results, no?
Yes, that your results are reproducible. You make it clear how you got those results, the reproducibility of the results. You make it transparent, not just for the journal, but later also for the readers. It's really important, transparent on how did you get those results. And as I mentioned, some IEEE journals, they include this code, and later you can publish them as a supplement. They will be visible in IEEE Explorer as well, and others can cite them, okay? So next, yes, thank you. Did you? Can you go to the next? This is in Portuguese, right? Yes. So this is the point. So this is how it's going to be visible. That data set or this data code has been also reviewed. There will be this icon visible on an IEEE. Okay. So think about this. It doesn't matter if you publish an IEEE or if you publish in humanities, but if you were using some algorithms or code, think about to make that as well as a supplement to your article. Let's go back to the peer review, right? The peer review, the rejection or what they check in editors and reviewers. I don't know. Next one or the one before? No, before. Go back, please. Yes. Okay, so they check, of course, the novelty. What was the reason, maybe if you got rejected, your paper was rejected? Do you remember the reason for the rejection? Out of scope, yeah. But do you agree to that?
No, because I saved many of papers from that journal.
Yeah.
So it's because I think it's too much papers. They have to reject the majority.
Okay. Other reasons? It's not important enough? Was maybe not important enough? Or?
For journals, the novelty.
The novelty?
Yeah. For journal, the big ones. The main thing is the novelty and
Yes,
the theoretical background.
Yeah. Yeah, and so also it's not important enough. It doesn't advance the scientific field. It's not enough maybe to get published. But they also check if you have expressed your ideas clearly, concisely, if it's really not well structured or you're not explained well, then they don't get the point, they will reject it. So clear, and then interest, that's important. You have to think about, you're doing your research, but think about how this could be beneficial for others, how this could be beneficial for the industry, for some companies. This is especially at IEEE, we are in the engineering field. We publish, many of our readers are engineers in the field at corporations. So think about who is this really interesting for them as well? How could this be beneficial for others? And of course, finally, we also check this compliance with ethical, plagiarism check, as well, authorship, so it will be checked, these parts. That's a whole different topic, the plagiarism, etc. Or if you suddenly change the names of the authors after your paper has been accepted, that's a red flag too. Because there are a lot of paper mills working like this, so they go to the peer review and then suddenly after the acceptance they change all the name of the authors, that's a red flag too. They will ask you questions. Any comments on this? I think it's the same peer review for other publishers as well, like the main criteria. Maybe we can go to the artificial intelligence. Antonio, try. And again. So, okay, this is now in Portuguese, but it's maybe better. So every publisher has a policy on the use of generative AI tools in preparation for submission. So you have to disclose if you have been using generative AI tools to generate text, figures, code, for your paper. You have to mention this, you have to disclose this, but it doesn't mean that you can ask ChatGPT to write an article and you just put your name on it and you claim it as yours. That's not what I meant. But it could be that for your research, you are using generative AI tools, or maybe you're using some figures because it is your field of research field. So that is what I meant here. So you have to always disclose if you've been using generative AI tools. But the main point is, in any way, when you are using a generative AI tool, you disclose it, you are responsible for those data and results. You are responsible to check if this is correct, and that's the point. So you are always responsible for that. And if you are using, and this very often, and for non-native speaking people, if you're using Grammarly or some editing tools which are supported by artificial intelligence, that is not something which is not allowed. You are allowed to use that, but you should always mention that as well. Okay? Mention it that you use, let's say, Grammarly to help to improve the editing or Grammarly, but still it is allowed, and until they don't change the meaning of your text. Okay? So if it doesn't change the meaning of the text, you are of course allowed to use Grammarly to improve the grammar and editing. But it's not allowed, let's say, to put a text into a so-called paraphrasing tool at the complete article. That's not what I mean. It just, these Grammarly and these editing tools to help to improve the article, because you are not a native speaker, I'm not a native speaker, many authors are using this type of tools. And I mentioned this, why? Because many publishers are also using tools to detect if a text has been generated, the text and the figures, they has been generated by an AI tool. They are detecting this, but there are a lot of false positives. Like they detect something which maybe was not written by an AI tool, maybe just used Grammarly. So always mention to avoid that maybe your article has been false positive detected as AI generated. So we have to be very careful. There are different levels of the use of AI, but in any publisher, all the publishers, they have a very strict policy on what they allow for AI tools to be used. Okay, so and the next slide, reviewers are also not allowed to use AI tools to generate a review. Maybe some of these reviews were generated by AI, what you saw. I don't know. It could be, but they are not allowed either to use AI tools. So what do you think about this all? It's difficult I think it's not so easy for authors to understand what is allowed and what is not allowed. Because there are so many tools where they have built-in artificial intelligence, maybe you don't even know there, and yeah. So I think that's why it's better to always mention and mention that you use this tool to improve, to avoid that something you're rejecting for a false reason. Yep. Yes?
In my opinion, AI is very helpful to understand what the papers want to say.
Uh-huh. And you mean to summarize papers? Yeah. Many authors are using, to help, Yes, that is true. I hear this very often, but even there you have to be very careful, of course, because if you really rely too much on these tools, sometimes the authors or the readers, they don't understand on what level these tools are suggesting summarization. Is it maybe just the abstract? But the abstract is a very, very small part of the paper. You have to read the full article. IEEE Explore, we're going to introduce our own AI search, which we trained a large language model with our full text articles. But this is not something it's yet available, but this is in the future. So be always careful with these AI tools. They help to simplify, but always double check these citations and read the whole articles. That's
You can always, the AI can always generate the same text for more than one article. Then you get red flagged by plagiarism.
Yeah, but what do you mean now with
the AI? If I use AI for my article and he uses for his, it's possible that there will be the same text.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, okay. So yeah, you were right.
You get plagiarism claims.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's not a good idea.
Not a good idea. Any other? Yes. Gentleman here.
I was going to ask, but it's the right question.
Yeah.
I think that the use of AI is a good advantage, of course, using correctly, because AI is so helpful for so many tasks. So, but the journals, the people in general see the use of that with good eyes or not.
Yeah. Well, we have to accept that our authors are also using, and we have to also kind of change our systems accordingly. But that's not that the AI. If we're using the AI tool too much, we will lose this capability of us of reading, understanding, and making conclusions on things. That's actually the core of these papers, how they are structured, like this is what I did, and this is what I explained, the results, and we lose all this capability, then we lose the whole core of our, research processes. So we should use the AI tools more in support of the core of what we do, but not just to replace the whole thing. But that's still it's a huge problem, because they're automatically generated in machine learning. There's so many papers. They're polluting the whole system, and then we are polluting with so many papers, and then citations, and its whole changes the whole topic. But it's a very big topic, and I'm not an expert on this, but there are a lot of articles now in this field. Yeah. Anyone else? So then we can move to open access. Okay, just very quickly. I think it has been really clearly explained how you can benefit from the CAPES agreement. I just would like to explain what we have with IEEE. So we have more than 180 different hybrid journals. That means in these journals, you can publish either traditionally closed access or open access. But it is your decision, the author's decision, and you make this decision after your paper has been accepted for publication. After. So not before, after you decide. And we also have more than 30 fully open access journals. In these journals, you can only publish open access. And then we have this very successful multidisciplinary journal called IEEE Access. It is fully open access. You can publish, and they will get back to you can submit, and they will come back to you within 4 to 6 weeks. But this journal is more meant for applied sciences. It has an impact factor. I'm not sure if it's on the list of the ministry, but maybe, probably, it has an impact factor. And click. We also add completely new journals. We start completely new journals. These do not have yet an impact factor. Okay, I'm sure they're not yet on the ministry list because they're very new, but you can also start to publish in these. Next slide. So here we have different fully open access journals, and then sometimes in their name you can see which society they belong to. For example, the IEEE Open Journal of the Communication Society, or we have the IEEE Access is also fully open access, as I mentioned, the Photonics Journal, Vehicular Technology, then Machine Learning and Communication Networking, and these are fully open access. The majority of them, they have an impact factor. Not all of them, because it needs time, 2 or 3 years to develop an impact factor for a journal. So these are fully open access. Next slide, please, Antonio. And this is the IEEE Access. I would recommend that you visit their website, because they publish in many different disciplines, a lot of them in machine learning, computer science as well. And it has an impact factor, and it is covered by the CAPES agreement as well, together with the other open access options. Next slide, please. What is not covered in the CAPES agreement are the overlength page charges. If you are using more pages than the limit, then you are responsible to pay those overlap page charges. But better is if you avoid them. Or some journals, they are still printed and they are color charges. You can avoid color charges if you write to the journal that you would like to make the article black and white, printed, and in color online. And you avoid, please avoid them. You shouldn't pay IEEE too much. So these are not covered by the CAPES agreement, but you can avoid these charges when you're not using more pages and you're avoiding the color charges. The open access charges, which is the highest charge, it could be even $3,000 for one article. These are 100% covered by the CAPES agreement. It doesn't matter how high the open access charges are, they are 100% covered if you are the corresponding author of the article and you have selected open access. Yeah.
With extra pages?
No, without. No extra pages. Extra pages are not covered. So there are different types of charges. Open access charge, overland page charge, and color charges. And the open access is covered by the CAPES. Yeah. And the other two you should avoid to pay because this is unnecessary. Well, unless you would like write a very long paper, but then you have to have the budget for the overland page charges or extra page charges. Next slide, please. So if you would like to download the title list of all IEEE journals, let's say you would like to post it on the library website, you can go to IEEE Open and under IEEE title list, next slide please. On IEEE Open, you can download the list in Excel or in PDF. So there you can filter the journals to see if they are hybrid open access or fully open access. You can also see in this list the impact factor, the ranking of the journal, the quartile, the site score, everything here. This is just the list on Excel. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is important for the CAPES agreement to benefit? You have to give the name of the university where you are employed or you are a student. You have to select the name variation for your university, what is suggested by the system. Don't invent another name variation. Use all those existing, because those existing names are connected to identifiers behind the scenes. Because somehow we have to use data, manuscript data, to identify your manuscript as eligible for the CAPES funding. And one of them is the name of the university where the corresponding author is working. And the second way is we check the email domain of the corresponding author. So please don't use Gmail addresses, please use the institutional, the university email address. So, next slide. And next. Yes, so for the hybrid, you have to, next. For the hybrid, you have to select, yes, please make my article open access. Because you remember, you have to make this decision. Yes, please make it open access. Next slide. And you upload the final files of the article to our systems. Final file sent. Next slide. And the next step, you have to select the. You have to answer some questions and select the CC-BY license. This is really important because CAPES only supports the article if you select the CC-BY, Creative Commons Attribution License. Next slide, please. And next. I will explain what it is. So there are two types of Creative Commons licenses available if you publish open access. And in Brazil, you only have to remember this one, okay? Because otherwise, CAPES is not financing your paper. You have to select the CC-BY. Don't select the other one, the non-commercial, non-derivative, this one. What does this mean? It means the author keeps the copyright to the paper's copyright. That means that yes, it is published open access in IEEE Explore Digital Library. Anyone can access it without payment. And you give very open, liberal rights to anyone around the world. They can do with the article whatever they like. They can create another book or an article based on your text. They can use your figures. They don't have to ask for permission from you. They don't. They can do whatever they like. A large language model can be trained with your article. They don't have as to permission. So this is the CC BY. So this is the most open license for open access, but they always have to give credit to you. They have to cite. They always have to give credit to the author. Okay? If someone is using the figures from your article, they don't have to ask for permission, but they have to cite. The difference to traditional publishing is the closed access means that you give the copyright of your article to IEEE, to the publisher. And that means that others cannot just use a figure or a picture from your article. They have to ask IEEE for permission, but in any case, they have to give credit there as well, citations, references. So in the open access world, your article is freely available to anyone. You might get more citations to your paper because easily accessible, but you also publish under this license, CC BY. Okay, next slide, please. Yes. So after this process, your paper is accepted for publication. You selected open access. You selected CC BY. An administrator at CAPES receives an email with the information about your paper, and they have to approve the request. They are checking each paper. So, and after they click on approve, next slide, you will receive an email notification confirming that the open access charges are covered under the CAPES agreement, and you're done. You don't have to pay. So in this example, this open access charges would have been $2,000 US for an article, and this is 100% covered by the CAPES agreement. You will get an email notification about that. Okay? Next slide, please. So what other open access resources do we have? Next, please click through. Our open, not open access, but open science. The first one is, I mentioned Code Ocean, so where you can publish code and data sets on Code Ocean. That's a different website. It's independent from your paper. You can decide to do this or not, and you can publish there under an open license. Or you can also publish research data sets up to 2 terabytes on IEEE Dataport. If you are a member of one of our societies, it is a member benefit. You can publish them as open access to make it transparent, accessible for everyone around the world. And also an open science, or a part of open access, is when you publish an early version of your article in TechArchive. This is our own preprint server, something similar to Archive, you heard Archive? So this is kind of our own archive at IEEE. You can publish that as well to prove that even before submission, you were first to report on something. But there is no peer review in TechArchive. You have to submit the article to one of our journals. Okay. Next slide. And this is how it is visible when you publish the code. Click, please. There will be this little icon when your paper is here. This is the code icon. There's corresponding code. And then click, please. And others can also see the code in IEEE Explorer and linked to Code Ocean. Okay. Good. Yes, so go back. So finally, these are our main websites for authors. I would recommend to post this website maybe on the department's website. So IEEE Author Center is our main site for everything on publishing. You can find these publication recommender tool, if you remember, video tutorials. Please click, Antonio. And really important, there are a lot of problems, minor, small problems, in the reference section of the papers. This reference preparation assistant is available for all IEEE authors, and you can upload the reference list, and this tool will help you to create a perfect IEEE style reference section. So this is the best. For IEEE, the IEEE reference preparation assistant is for free. Are you using citation manager programs like Zotero, Mendeley? Okay. They also have this IEEE style you can change, but they are not always the most updated. So it's always good to use this one at the end. Next. And yes, the video tutorials we have available in IEEE Author Center. They're short videos, 15 minutes videos. Next slide. And this is the website of IEEE Access you could visit, and the IEEE Open Access website for the title list and all the other information. Next, please. Next. And next week, next week, we are going to have a new symposium online, a big symposium, and all of them are recorded with journal editors. We usually have that for journal editors. They know much more about publishing than I do. Next week, we're going to have it with a professor from the TU Munich in Germany, and he will go more into details on the writing, like the structuring of the papers, recommendations, and all of these webinars are recorded and are available on demand. If you click on them, you listen to them, you can get an IEEE certificate as well. So all of them are they are on demand, but next week we're going to have the next one. It's also on open access, but also on publishing. Okay, Antonio, next slide, please. Oh yeah, you will receive these slides as a PDF, also the slides from CAPES, and they will be in PDF, including all the links. If you registered for this event, if you registered online, you will receive these slides as a PDF. Yeah. And if you are, maybe some of you are professors and you need, and you would like to teach your students on publishing, I can send you more detailed slides which you could use as a PowerPoint, like all this. What is an introduction? What is a methodology? Just send me an email. Next slide. Yes, you can. Next. This is our team, but here is my email address. If you like, you can also contact me via LinkedIn. But if you need the PowerPoint presentation, please send me an email. I'm not so often using WhatsApp like you do. I would send that probably via email. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a lot of information about the IEEE. Thanks so much. Well, now we started another moment. I invited Soraya to begin the discussion and question moment. Bom, pessoal que está online, se puder, a gente pode deixar o chat aqui ativo para a gente poder estar conectado com as perguntas. Sei que ao longo, né, do momento aqui de Esther, a gente teve a oportunidade de tirar algumas dúvidas, mas a gente deixa aberto para a gente, né, fazer tanto perguntas para a Soraya quanto para a Esther. Eu acho que a visão que a gente teve aí dessas duas instituições é a conexão que a gente está querendo ter dessa parte da ciência aberta, né, da divulgação. Acho que é muito importante. Queria agradecer, né, a participação de vocês. Eu acho que isso traz uma identidade, traz um ambiente e um momento ser mais especial. Tá? Então, eu vou deixar aberto. Não sei se a gente consegue deixar o chat disponível para que a gente possa continuar. Bom, eu vou deixar aqui aberto para perguntas, Brenda vai estar ajudando a gente em levar o microfone aí para o pessoal.
Primeiramente, eu queria agradecer a palestra das duas. Thank you very much, that too. I have two questions for Soraya. Soraya, no caso, a Esté estava falando que alguns benefícios de ser membro, né, da IEL. Eu queria saber se tem alguma coisa semelhante assim na CAPES. A gente tem como ser membro, tem algum benefício nesse caso?
No caso da CAPES, não, a gente tem os bolsistas, né, mas são editais específicos. No caso do portal de periódicos, a gente tem os administradores institucionais, que são também selecionados em cada instituição, são a nossa correspondência em geral, são os bibliotecários, que fazem essa ponte, né? Mas em alguns momentos a gente teve assim, editais específicos para selecionar multiplicadores. Nós temos alguns editores que têm também esses programas de multiplicadores, né? Então, mas não é algo que na CAPES, né? Muitas vezes é como nos membros do I3E, né? Então, a gente tem alguns editores que têm esses multiplicadores. A gente teria que, se quiser, pode me mandar um e-mail lá para o periódicos@capes.gov.br, né? Solicitando que a gente responde. Inclusive, qualquer dúvida que vocês tiverem relacionada ao portal de periódicos, no site do portal de periódicos, logo abaixo, tem um Fale Conosco. Nesse Fale Conosco, tem uma lista de assuntos que a gente trata, e qualquer dúvida, seleciona o assunto que está naquela lista, ele vai ser direcionado para o e-mail da equipe que vai conseguir as respostas que vocês precisam. Inclusive, nessa parte dos acordos de leitura e publicação, a gente tem um e-mail específico também, né, que é o abc.periódicos@capes.gov.br, também está lá nesse Fale Conosco. E quando a gente faz as análises dos acordos de leitura e publicação, caso tenha alguma pendência, caso a gente tenha alguma dúvida, vai ser por esse e-mail que vocês vão receber os questionamentos, tá? Então, fiquem atentos, não é spam, né? Realmente, quando vocês submetem o artigo, quando está aprovado e quando está passando ali por essa parte da análise da CAPES, vocês podem, talvez, receber por esse canal, tá?
Pronto, Soraya, eu também gostaria de perguntar a respeito dos artigos presentes na plataforma. No caso, a gente tem todos a ler, eles têm aquela licença aberta, ou a gente vai ter que verificar o artigo específico, se ele tem aquela licença para a gente poder citar, por exemplo, ou não?
Os artigos, o portal de periódicos, os contratos, né, eles vão abrir os artigos para as pessoas que estão nas instituições que fazem parte do contrato e nas áreas específicas que fazem parte de cada contrato. Então, nem toda instituição vai ter acesso a tudo, né? Normalmente, quando você está logado na instituição ou está acessando daqui da instituição, tem um íconezinho lá na pesquisa, né, disponível para a sua instituição. E a gente, além dos artigos dos periódicos que fazem parte dos contratos, né, de cada instituição, a gente tem também uma base que a gente puxa do OpenAlex, então uma base que já é aberta. Quando você não está logado ou não está acessando da sua instituição, o que você busca no portal e está disponível, normalmente é essa base que já é acesso aberto, né? E quando você está na sua instituição, você vai estar com acesso ao conteúdo. E aquele conteúdo, vocês citam a fonte, né, como qualquer artigo. Assim, é só uma questão de citar a fonte mesmo. Tá? Sim.
Uma pergunta para a Soraya, de Juan Maurício. Caso um dos autores for estrangeiro, inviabilizaria o pagamento da ABC por parte da CAPES?
A gente não está considerando a nacionalidade, mas a instituição de origem. Então, se é um autor estrangeiro com vínculo com a pós-graduação de uma instituição brasileira que faz parte do contrato, e ele é docente, discente, egresso até 5 anos, pós-doc, ou tem um vínculo empregatício com aquela instituição, né? Então ele vai poder fazer parte do acordo, tá? Ser considerado autor elegível.
Eu tenho uma pergunta para a Soraya também. Na sua apresentação, foi dito que as pessoas que vão solicitar a publicação do I-3E, então requer que esteja cadastrado ou registrado no Sucupira, né? Agora, se não estiver, uma curiosidade, né? Se não estiver, falou que pode fazer uma solicitação, vai levar um tempo, né, para ver se a pessoa tem ou não conexão com a instituição. E uma vez que é confirmado e se submeter segunda, terceira, o processo torna-se mais rápido ou toda vez que solicitar vai precisar de um cheque ou não? Né? E eu tenho uma segunda pergunta, aproveitando, talvez não tenha relação direta com o I-3E. Por exemplo, nós temos publicado, os alunos, né, da pós-graduação, têm publicado uma revista da Associação Brasileira de Ensaio Não Destrutivo, chamada APEND. Só que essa revista não faz parte da CAPES, né, do periódico da CAPES. O que seria necessário para que essa revista torne-se, uma vez que há publicação por parte dos estudantes, né? Embora, então, são essas duas perguntas. Obrigado.
Eu vou começar pela última, tá? Com relação a periódicos que não fazem parte do contrato, no momento a gente não está fazendo novos contratos esse ano, porque o nosso orçamento esse ano está muito restrito, mas nós estamos inclusive revendo algumas questões relacionadas a como receber essas demandas, porque hoje a gente não tem isso num sistema, né? O que normalmente acontece é que o administrador institucional então você teria que entrar em contato com o programa de pós-graduação, seria o ideal, né? Entrar em contato com o programa de pós-graduação passar essa necessidade para o administrador institucional daqui da UFPE, né, que mandaria para a CAPES essa demanda que a gente chama de demanda qualificada, né, que seria assim, identificamos essa necessidade por causa disso e ele justifica, né, assim, qual a importância daquilo para a área, qual a importância daquele conteúdo para a instituição, o que ele se diferencia de outros conteúdos que estão destacados. Então, assim, ter essa justificativa ajuda a gente a olhar para esse conteúdo com mais carinho, né? Então, assim, a gente não promete que ele será contratado, mas é um caminho a ser seguido, né? Então, conversar com esse administrador institucional seria uma boa possibilidade, tá? Com relação à outra questão do vínculo, normalmente os docentes, os discentes, já estão cadastrados na plataforma Sucupira. Então, aí está tranquilo. Os egressos, em geral, também estão cadastrados, porque eles já foram discentes, né? E aí a gente só mudou a situação lá para o titulado, né? Então, também está tranquilo. Pós-doc, nós temos um espaço para cadastrar o pós-doc. Professor visitante, entra como docente, na categoria professor visitante. Então, quem é que vai estar fora da plataforma Sucupira? Normalmente são professores que atuam só na graduação, né, ou outros servidores da instituição que não estão ali. Se estiverem no portal da transparência, a gente consegue também pegar. Então, vai ser a exceção da exceção quem a gente não consegue identificar. E aí, quem a gente não consegue identificar de jeito nenhum, a gente vai mandar um e-mail por esse e-mail apc.periódicos@caes.gov.br solicitando um comprovante de vínculo, né? Esse e-mail vai ficar registrado lá nos nossos enviados. Quando a gente receber uma pendência, de novo, daquela mesma pessoa, a gente vai procurar nesse e-mail do apc.periódicos. Caso a gente encontre algum comprovante de vínculo com aquela mesma instituição, pode ser que a gente não solicite de novo, mas se passar um tempo muito grande, talvez solicite novamente. Então, mas é a exceção da exceção, né? Normalmente a regra está na plataforma Scopira ou no portal da transparência.
Livia's question, I think it's for Esther. Is it problematic or inappropriate for a reviewer to use GPT-0 to check the percentage of AI content in the article they have received?
Yeah.
It is also inappropriate for a reviewer to reject the article or add a comment based on the author's extensive use of AI without acknowledging the acknowledgements?
Yeah, so so this is, I cannot exactly, that makes all sense, what she writes, because if it's so obvious and it sees that the reviewers that this paper has been probably created by something that I would definitely mention this in the review, but my recommendation is that probably the journal has instructions for the reviewers exactly how and what they have to do. But I'm not sure if the tool at GPT-0, I have no idea how good that tool is to detect AI text because I mentioned all these false positives. So I think my recommendation would be to the reviewer to reach out to the journal and ask the journal about these questions. But this makes all sense. But I'm not sure if we would really want all the reviewers to use all other AI tools and different AI tools to detect the AI generated text. I'm not sure if this is a good direction. So probably the publisher of the journal has to make a decision on how to detect this. So I know this is not a perfect answer I don't have for this, but my recommendation would be that the reviewer asks the journal's editors or managing editor for this. But it all makes sense, absolutely, what she writes. Yeah. Any other question? There was some other pregunta.
Juan, mas já foi. We will have more events like this in the future.
Well, I am available online. I cannot always fly in, but I am available online. I offer a different type of webinars. For example, how to find a good topic for my thesis. We could do this one again, maybe next year. And I mentioned next week, we have this big symposium where anyone can attend. So you have my contact details and you can reach to us or someone in the US. I have a lot of colleagues available in the US and they can also offer you, yes, we could do similar events.
E no portal de periódicos, né, a gente tem os treinamentos também diariamente, como eu reforcei aqui, a gente vai ter no dia 21 de maio um treinamento do I3E, né, sempre os treinamentos do portal de periódicos mostram a parte básica do portal, as buscas, e tem esse segundo momento com os editores. Então, assim como vai ter com o I3E no dia 21 de maio, tem com todos os editores que a gente possui contrato ao longo do ano, né? Fora os treinamentos especiais, que são temas específicos de interesse da comunidade acadêmica, né? E também a gente vai ter os 2 treinamentos especiais relacionados ao acordo de leitura e publicação, um no dia 1º de junho, um no dia 22 de junho, com as bibliotecárias do portal.
Letícia.
Pode se inscrever nesse treinamento.
Então, na página do portal de periódicos tem 2 caminhos. Um são aquelas 3 barrinhas que ficam, né, lá logo no início, na parte de cima do portal. E no meio do portal também tem uma parte azul, logo abaixo da onde eu mostrei a questão do pagamento do acesso aberto, o HMGPC, tem lá uma faixinha treinamentos, que tem acesso ao calendário. Então, você acessa o calendário, escolhe o treinamento, clica no detalhamento desse treinamento e dentro do detalhamento do treinamento vai ter lá, inscreva-se. Para você se inscrever, tem que estar logado. Então, se aparecer entrar, vai lá naquele cantinho, entra com GovBR, seu número de ORCAD ou o seu cadastro da CAPES. Se não tiver, tem a opção, faça seu registro aqui, né? Então, consegue fazer seu registro, se esqueceu a senha, clica lá, coloca o CPF e busca a senha, né? Tem a opção de esquecer a senha. Se for estrangeiro, tem a opção entrar com o CPF, no caso da CAPES, ou entrar com documento estrangeiro ou ORCAD. Então, todo mundo consegue acessar, os treinamentos são gratuitos, são todos online, tá? E tem temas muito interessantes, recomendo que vocês acessem.
Soraya, eu queria que tu compartilhasse um pouquinho com o pessoal que a gente estava, né, conversando aqui. Foi, assim, algumas experiências de outros docentes, né, com essa interação, né, com a ciência aberta. E eu acho que seria interessante revisitar um pouquinho o processo de submissão, no caso, né? Eu sei que a Esther trouxe de forma bem detalhada, mas eu acho que a gente poderia fazer esse overview, né? Porque às vezes a gente fica achando que o acesso para a gente poder ter o pagamento daquele artigo que foi aceito, e aí a Soraya estava explicando que o negócio é bem mais simples. Então, acho que seria interessante só destacar.
A Andrea havia me perguntado, né, como começaram esses acordos de leitura e publicação. Então, eu explicando para ela que esse movimento da ciência aberta vem já há alguns anos, né, justamente desse incômodo dos pesquisadores de fazer suas pesquisas e não podem utilizar o resultado dessa pesquisa, né, porque tem questão de direitos autorais que muitas vezes ficavam com os editores, né, então começou esse movimento e com internet, pandemia e tudo isso que essa parte online, esse compartilhamento, né, ele foi muito mais intensificado e o governo também começou a olhar isso de uma maneira, começou a se preocupar mais com toda essa parte do acesso aberto, né? E hoje a CAPES ela paga pela leitura, né? Então assim, vocês estão com acesso porque temos contratos. Se não tivermos mais esses contratos, acabou o acesso. Mas com os acordos de leitura e publicação, por isso que muitas vezes eles são chamados de acordos transformativos, né? Porque você está ali com aquele acesso enquanto está o contrato, e quando acaba um contrato, por exemplo, se tiver em acesso aberto, ele vai permanecer em acesso aberto, né? E muitas vezes outros países que recebem em dólar, né? Para eles é mais fácil publicar pagando essas taxas de processamento de artigos que normalmente as revistas que são full open access elas cobram, né? Mas para os brasileiros, assim, para o pesquisador, se não estiver tendo um financiamento, isso fica às vezes até inviável, né? Então a CAPES fez esses acordos justamente para tentar equilibrar um pouquinho isso e abrir a possibilidade para que os pesquisadores brasileiros possam também ter acesso a essas revistas internacionais, para publicar nessas revistas internacionais, sem precisar se preocupar tanto com esses valores, preocupar mais com sua pesquisa. Se for uma pesquisa de qualidade, ela vai ser aceita. Se ela for aceita, a gente vai estar financiando, desde que elas estejam nesses periódicos do contrato, né, que são pessoas com vínculo, licença CCPA e todos aqueles critérios que a gente falou. E o que eu expliquei também para a André é que o processo de submissão, como a gente disse, no editor, né? Então, por exemplo, o I3E, a Esther mostrou aqui para vocês, né, o processo de submissão, e o I3E irá enviar para a gente, por meio do sistema, no caso do I3E, da ACS, da RSP, eles usam um sistema chamado Copyright, que é o CCC, né, que inclusive é o que vocês recebem, o contato, pelo que estava ali no slide, também é o que a CAPES vai receber. Então, as editoras vão enviar para a gente a solicitação. Vocês não precisam enviar nada para a gente, vocês vão submeter o artigo foi aceito, vocês solicitaram que seja open access, a instituição está ali no e-mail, está tudo certinho, a própria editora vai enviar para a gente essa solicitação de pagamento de APC. A CAPES vai olhar aqueles requisitos, né, do autor, verificar se tem ORCID, verificar a licença e vai aprovar ou colocar em pendência. Se tiver em pendência, vocês vão receber o e-mail do apc.periódicos@capes.gov.br. Se tiver aprovado, essa solicitação vai ser devolvida para a editora vai entrar em contato com vocês falando da continuidade dessa publicação. Se for rejeitado, a mesma coisa, a editora vai entrar em contato com vocês para dar a resposta. Então, a UFPE não vai precisar fazer nada nesse processo e nem vocês também vão precisar fazer nada além de submeter o artigo periódico. E cadastrar o ORCID nos meus dados da CAPES, caso não esteja, e atualizar os dados na plataforma Scopira, caso não esteja. E o ideal é fazer essas atualizações antes da submissão. Tá?
Another question for Esther. And about the other events, how can we access them? Where do I sign up? We just send an email to you and you'll send us the link, or we need to go for the website?
Yeah, so I she wrote me my email and I already answered. So you have to go to this website on IEEE innovate.ieee.org, and under free webinars, you can find all these upcoming webinars. And this link, what I just mentioned, will be in the presentation slide as a PDF. You can click on it. Yes, thank you.
My question for is that you mentioned in your presentation that Federal University of Pernambuco published more than 2,000.
3,000.
3,000, almost 3,000, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in how huge is in terms of Brazil.
For all over Brazil? For all?
If you compare to another institution.
Okay. Yeah.
If you know.
I have it on my laptop. I can show you later. I have the data, I think, on my laptop, yes. But what I know that during this CAPES agreement, there were more than 800 open access articles published. What I also know that since the CAPES agreement, we increased the number of open access articles by 250% compared to before. And we increased the overall number for all the publications by more than 65%. Yeah, so this is what I know for the tendency in Brazil, and later I can open my laptop and I can show you the numbers for the other universities. But this is really huge. Yesterday we went to another university, which is also great, but maybe they have a different, direction. They had like 1,000 or 900. Yeah. This is really, really high. Yeah.
Eu tenho só comentário também, reforçar aqui, né, a questão do autor correspondente. A Esther falou isso na apresentação dela. O que a gente vai olhar, o vínculo, vai ser o autor correspondente, tá? Então, assim, não é o primeiro autor, é o autor correspondente. Então, por exemplo, um estudante de graduação que queira publicar num projeto de pesquisa, junto com o professor tem que ser o autor correspondente, porque senão o vínculo de graduação a gente não vai considerar, tá? Outra coisa que a gente estava até comentando, né, Andréia? Tivemos aqui um comentário sobre o Qualis, e a CAPES não tem mais o Qualis, né? Nós temos muitas pessoas carentes do Qualis, mas na verdade o Qualis ele era utilizado para coisas que não eram a função dele de fato, né? Então, por isso essa decisão da CAPES. E o que entra no lugar, né? Muito do que a Esther colocou aqui, alguns indicadores bibliométricos, e você olhar se aquele periódico ele tem boas práticas editoriais, se ele não está em nenhuma lista de predatórios, se ele é reconhecido na área, né? Na CAPES, inclusive, a gente tem uma página das áreas, né? Colocar assim, áreas CAPES, áreas de conhecimento CAPES, áreas de avaliação da CAPES, vocês vão ter o detalhamento das páginas das áreas, né? Escolhe ali a página da sua área e ali vão ter orientações, diretrizes para aquela área para o ciclo avaliativo, né? Os ciclos de 4 anos, então, por exemplo, a gente já está com as orientações para esse ciclo de 2025 a 2029, né? Então, ali tem o que a área espera da área, né? E, por exemplo, a ficha de avaliação, ela também dá uma ideia para vocês do que está sendo considerado bom para os programas de pós-graduação daquela área, né? Então, isso também dá uma ideia, tá? Porque aí o Qualis já não é uma opção. E, na verdade, quando a gente vai considerar se uma publicação é boa ou ruim, tem que olhar uma série de fatores, né? E um dos motivos pelo qual o Qualis foi extinto foi justamente isso. As pessoas acabavam utilizando ele para olhar o futuro, sendo que ele tinha avaliado o passado, né? E aí isso acabava criando um ciclo e alguns periódicos acabavam, inclusive, se beneficiando disso de uma maneira errada, né? Por ele já ter uma fama, digamos assim, né? Acabavam se tornando predatórios, e isso não estava dando certo, por isso que foi alterado. Tá?
A gente vai estar seguindo para a última pergunta, né? E aí aproveitar, Esther. Aqui a gente tem um ramo estudantil, como a gente mencionou, foi reativado. Então, todos os participantes, estudantes, professores, né, tanto de graduação como de pós-graduação, podem estar, né, fazendo parte do ramo estudantil do I3E. E aí a pergunta vai para a Esther. Esther, could you share with us why should students join an I3Z student branch? And what make IEEE membership valuable for them?
Well, I think it's for everyone in any engineering field, as a student, the best way to improve and also to maybe to learn behind the normal studies, to build a community and networking. And I think for students, that's the first step to maybe to start different project or just simply improve soft skills like presenting, organizing such events like you do. And then step by step, there are also, of course, if you have a student branch, there are many possibilities for attend competitions. We have a very famous computing competition, the IEEE Extreme. Maybe in Region 9, there are different ones like hardware competitions you can attend, or paper competitions where you present a paper. So it depends on the region. So that's the first step. And by the way, the biggest, nowadays, the biggest, founders like NVIDIA, he has been an IEEE student member. He met actually his wife as a student member, IEEE student member at university. They are very, very strong community, is IEEE. And many of these really inventors, very well known, really approached, even founded huge companies. They were IEEE student members. I'm not telling you that all of you are going to be a company owner, but this is a great community to be part of. So even if you publish or if you just go to conference, there are many options. Yeah.
It's there. I'm the student of electronic engineering, and right now I'm part of the Women in Engineering. And thank you for clarifying everything here. I'm very excited to start my journals or maybe a IEEE conference.
Yeah.
And I don't know, can you say something specific for the women community?
Yeah. So I mean, I see more women in Brazil studying engineering than in Germany. So this is absolutely amazing. I think that you're really represented, and it's really, really important. And last year when I was in Brazil, we went to Belo Horizonte, I think, and just by accident, at the same time when we had our presentation, there was a whole room full of young women, well, students, or not even students, they were from school, I think. And the professors, they were only women, they had like an event for them to convince them to go into engineering. I think this is, there are no limits, and I'm really so happy to see so many women studying in many engineering fields. And I think IEEE is a great place. We have special programs. We even have a special conference, prizes for women in engineering. I think you should try to use and benefit from all these programs. But otherwise, it's just the part of the same IEEE organization. We just have like special programs even for women to discuss, and yeah. But the same program is available for everyone, for a female, a male, of course. But we have this special program for women to encourage. But I think this is not a problem in Brazil, or I don't know. But in Germany, there's really, I rarely see women in engineering. I don't know why.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, a gente finaliza aqui nosso momento. Queríamos agradecer mais uma vez. Salva de palmas para todos vocês, para a Esther, para a Soraya, para a Everton, para Antônio, né? E todos aqui que estiveram no apoio, né? O Biratã, a Brenda, né? O Francisco. Então, a gente queria fazer uma foto, né? Para registrar esse momento. Pode ser lá fora. E tem um cafezinho, uma bolachinha, uma aguinha para que vocês possam, né, finalizar essa manhã. Tá? Muito obrigada, obrigado pessoal que ficou até agora lá no remoto. E vamos fechar esse momento. Que venham outros encontros.
Thank you so much.
Especially
for the younger generation. It's so nice to see you guys.
Posso ligar?